So I'm recording now. Is everyone okay with us recording, firstly? Okay, thumbs up mostly. No objections.
And by me?
Yes.
Thanks, Gabriel. Cool. Okay. That was good. Looks like everyone's fine. There don't seem to be any serious objections. Okay. Thanks, Matt. Right, so here we go. Welcome everyone to our Farmers Khuluma. For those of you who don't speak isiZulu, Khuluma means talk, on building local food nodes using technology. We initiated this discussion after EMG, after our partner in Sweden, ABF, introduced us to Albin, who's in the left-hand corner, or at least my left-hand corner, who is a Swedish farmer who developed an open source online app to support the development of local food nodes, which can be used globally. It's a really cool initiative that we think might be useful here, but particularly for EMG, the importance of this webinar has come from the people we work with, small-scale farmers who are looking for ways to sell their produce locally. Ways that, one, are not exploitative and that pay the farmer a fair price, that two, create employment and support livelihoods, and three, provide communities with access to healthy food. And particularly in the current context of rampant capitalism, global inequality, hunger and unemployment, it is necessary for us to find ways to build community-controlled markets which embody the principles of farmer self-determination, sustainable agriculture, climate change mitigation and adaptation, and food justice. It's our hope that this conversation will be a platform to share knowledge and experience and hopefully help us to begin to build alternative community-controlled markets. In terms of the format of the webinar, we thought it's best to hear from the people themselves. So we'll hear from two farmers. Firstly, Albin from Sweden, and then Nomonde Buthelezi, Albin Ponnert, and then Nomonde Buthelezi, who's a South African farmer. And then we'll let them talk for about 10 to 15 minutes each, and then we'll open for discussions and conversations. You can pop questions in the chat. You could also raise your hand if you want to ask a question verbally. So once we get there, we can just, in fact, you can type questions as we're going. If a question pops into your head, you can type it, and then we'll take it from there. So before I start though, I'd like to thank Erna, Wave Ernst, who is going to be my co-pilot. So she's going to be handling the technical stuff. If I miss a hand raised or like a question or something, Ernst is going to help me with that. So thanks, Ernst. But I'd also like to thank our comrades from ABF just for the relationship of solidarity and learning that we share, and Albin and Nomonde for making themselves available to talk to us, share their experiences, and make this what it should be, a conversation with farmers. So without carrying on anymore, I'm going to shut up and let Albin take it away.
Thank you very much, and thank you all for having me for this gathering. And I'm very happy to be able to describe and present what we're trying to achieve up here in Sweden with a digital platform that we are trying to create. I'm just going to make a short introduction of myself. I'm 45 years old. I'm first and foremost a father to my 3 kids. I'm a trained documentary filmmaker originally, but now I'm living on my small farm, growing crops, having some chickens and ducks and some sheep, mainly to feed my own family. But as you know, there becomes some kind of surplus, and we try to sell the surplus to our neighbors. And the reason why, so now I'm working with the farm and with this open source project called Local Food Nodes and Local Food App. It's an app and a website as well. And I would like to describe to you how we started this project and why we started it and where we are today. And also, if we have the time, showcase and make a quick walkthrough on the website so you can see, and I can show how it works a little bit on the technical side of it. What we did a couple of years ago, I think it was 5 years ago, we set up a workshop tour all around Sweden to discuss and listen in and map what the needs were for local food producers to engage straight to the end consumers without any intermediaries. So what I was doing, I was listening in the needs. And I understood that there was a huge need for people to build first-hand relations in real life. And also there was a big need for the producers to own the relationship 100% and also own 100% of the revenue stream. So no one else could say they should have a percentage of the money that they're selling for. So because there is a huge difference between getting paid and taking paid, taking money and getting money. So they are in the driver's seat deciding how much they should earn, and no one should take any money out of their pockets. So we decided to create a pilot of a digital tool where you could engage your produce as a producer and make them available at specific physical locations and dates, and say, this produce I have that you can pre-order. And then people enter the website and make the pre-orders, and then they meet up with all the producers available at the same time and only collect the food that you have pre-ordered. And then you paid straight from the consumers to the producers firsthand, and then you go back home. And this is a phenomenon that is growing pretty rampant in Sweden at the moment. I think we have more than 250 of those kinds of delivery nodes, people just creating them wherever. Mainly, they are administrated through Facebook, but that doesn't work in the long term. So many people are migrating, also using this local food node site that we have created that is more of a web shop that you don't pay in, because you pay to the producers instead when you meet them. So we have been working with this project for about 4 years since we created the first code to the platform. It's me that is the project manager and the initiator of the project. I don't code anything. And then we have one of my neighbors doing all the coding. And we do this in our spare time. And we don't run this as a business because we don't do this to make money. So of course it costs money to develop things, but we do it mainly for free the last couple of 4 years, but it's donation driven. So people can donate whatever they feel like to use the platform. For producer is 100% free, but you as a consumer needs to donate to use it, but you can donate 0 of whatever currencies. It is for free. And now we just released the feature that you also can make your first order without even having to donate at first, but you can still donate 0 of anything. So it's basically free, and people donate about average 10 euros. It's about that amount. So so we're not a business to make money, and this platform can't be sold. It's something that we own together in this companionship, and we try to do the best as we can by listening in to all the needs. We did this first in Sweden, so we have a pretty good idea of what people, basically producers, because that's the target groups, what the producers need to meet the market. And we are targeting the small scale that want to interact firsthand with the end consumers to build firsthand relations. So we try to even sidestep ourselves as tech developers, which is kind of hard because many things that we also are some kind of a middleman, but we try not to be. So we just try to step aside and say, no, you build the relations. You do not pay anything through our system. You make all the payments outside of the website. You do that with an invoice or through sending money through your phones or cash when you meet up. So no money streams through the platform. You only place your orders, and you as a producer administrate all the sales through the platform. We don't know who sells what to who. We just create the tools that make it possible for you to do those things. So anyone can set up maybe I should share my screen just to visualize what I'm talking about here. So I'll try to do that now. Does everyone see my screen at the moment? This is the English version of the local food nodes. We released in January. This is the second version of the website. We try to improve it as we go all the time. This is my personal dashboard as a consumer. This my name is Albin, and I can here change to the dashboard as a producer if I want to. If I don't have a dashboard as a producer, I can create a producer account, and I can create multiple producer accounts if I like to. If I have many farms where I would like to administer someone else's farm as a helper. You can also create a node by going to the node administration tool and just create a physical drop-off spot anywhere where producers can connect themselves. So maybe the interesting part here is to look at the producer dashboard. And here you see my dashboard with my settings and information, all the products that I have created. I can go and tailor as I would like to, upcoming deliveries. And here you can find on the map delivery locations nearby you that could be created anywhere in the world by anyone for free. We have many in Sweden. There are several in the US. We have some in other parts of Europe as well. I think there are several in Japan as well. We have some in Australia. And actually, there is one in South Africa. I don't know if it's up and running, but it's on the map. So then you can go and connect your farm to any delivery location and just enter. Do you like to enter, to connect your producer account to this drop-off spot? Yes, I would like to. Then you have a short list of all the drop-off locations that you are connected to as a producer. And you can easily just throw them away if you don't want to be a part of that no more. So you can select which one you would like to deliver to. And after that, you can just create new products and you can hook up your products to any delivery dates you would like to. If I click at products here, you have your short list of all the products you have. You select the date. It will say this one. Here, this is a node. You select this one. You see all the dates, they have delivery dates that is auto-generated when you create the node. You can set which weekday, what time you would like to have delivery days. And then the producer connect themselves and their products to any day they would like to come. So this date I would like to come, I'll bring eggs, I'll bring tomatoes, I'll bring my minced cheap meat, and then I can tweak the details of each and every product. I can set individual price for each delivery occasion. I can set the deadline, meaning how many days before delivery day I need to have my order. And I can also set stock if I would like to, if the product has a stock. See if I have a product with stock here. Maybe I don't. This one. Yeah, you can tweak stock for each and individual, and then you just save. And then a feature we will release soon is a share list feature, where you can just copy the link, paste it on Facebook or whatever, say this is the products I'm going to bring at this specific date. Click on the link, just go in and order. And then also go through to, there goes one email to you as a producers describing who has ordered what and what they're supposed to pay and when you're going to deliver and at what date. And then same email goes to the consumer saying you have ordered this from this producer, you're supposed to pick it up at this date, and you're supposed to pay this amount of money in this kind of way when you meet the producer, or with an invoice or with cash or whatever that you decide as a producer yourself in what way you would like to get paid. So this is the website of the project that is both in administrational tools for node administration. It's an administration tool for the producer, and it's also a web shop for local food consumer. And we also have a mobile app that is a consumer tool only that you can use as a food consumer. And the mobile app is called Local Food App. Pretty easy to remember. And we are at the moment working with the next version of the app that we think will be very good. And in the long run, the mobile app will be the only consumer tool that you need. So we will try to push the consumers more and more into the app because it's easier to order into the app. But at the moment, the website is a bit better than the mobile app. So we recommend people using the website at the moment. But hopefully in 6 months or so, the app will be better. Then you should push consumers to use the app. But it's still the website that is the producer tool, where you can administrate all the sales and your products and so on. So what we are creating is more or less free open source web shop where you don't pay anything. So maybe I should linger on sharing my screen, or do you want to have me back with my face, or do you have any question regarding the website? Because I can talk about this forever, but I also would like to have this in more like a dialogue than a monologue from me. So you can ask questions and I can show you, or just try to answer as best as I can. But more or less, we're two guys trying to do this when we find the time. We have come pretty far so at the moment. So I think we have about 13,000 downloads of the mobile app at the moment, and we have even more people using the platform, and it's starting to reach out to other countries in Europe and the US and so on. So there are interest for people to get to build real live first-hand relations, and you can use tech to do that. I'm not that tech driven myself, but I think it could make it easier for people to engage in the real life, not through Facebook, not through social networking, but in real life. Then tech could be useful, and that thing we see we could help bridge people, and I think it could be a necessity when it comes to how we produce, how we consume, how we eat food in the future due to the climate change and so on. So I think there could be need for this to narrow down the scope from where you get your food. I stop sharing my screen now, and if you have any input or any questions or any comment or thoughts, I'm totally available to listen into your needs and your ideas and thoughts and so on. Thank you. I think I'm muted, Mandy. You're muted. You have to unmute yourself.
Thank you. Told you this was not going to go well. Right. Okay. So I hate these things. So I think that's great. I thank you so much. What might happen is that we might have to come back to screen sharing with the questions a bit later. But I think what would be nice now is if we can hear a bit from Nomonde, who's a South African farmer, maybe to kind of bring in the issue of needs in terms of markets, but just tell us about herself and her experiences of markets and local food nodes. Nomonde?
Thank you, Mandy. Hello, everyone. Okay, just to reintroduce myself, I am Nomonde. I'm a Buthelezi. I'm a small farmer, an urban farmer and organic grower from Mfuleni. Can you all hear me correct, nicely? Thumbs up?
Yeah.
Awesome. Farming for me was actually, maybe I want to say accidental, that I'm doing it for a market. Professionally, I'm a kindergarten practitioner, but I don't practice. So years ago, I was diagnosed with IBS, and I was a borderline diabetic. So from the doctor, the word organic was introduced to me. First time, I didn't know what an organic food was, so I went on a whole searching. I searched, and then when I found organic produce, I couldn't afford them. Like, I've had to travel to the CBD, to town, to actually find an organic product. So then I thought, you know what, I'm not gonna die today. I still have a few years if the worst has to come. But then when you're having a kindergarten, it is encouraged that you have a small garden so that the kids can be, in touch with the earth and to know where their food comes from. So that's when then the gardening thing started. So I did some workshops with an NGO that was in my area, training people how to grow your own organic food. So that's where, and then it became a passion. So and then I started growing, I started collecting seeds. And then I started experimenting. Can I grow this? Like strawberries, I didn't know how strawberries grew. I didn't know. I thought pineapples were grown from a tree. So it was a whole lot of a discovery for me. So where I am at now, I identify myself as a landless small farmer, because where I am farming, it's somebody else's backyard. And the problem or the challenge that we currently have with my other farmer colleagues in the urban space is finding a market for our local organic produce. One of the biggest challenges is recognition to you know, our local market or our local customers do not recognize us as organic producers. You know, we have competition with produce that's been sourced from the commercial farmers. So with that, then we had almost, we couldn't sell our produce, you know, for what it's worth. And then we've had people, you know, you're grateful you have somebody coming in and say, I can get you customers, you know, I've got customers that's on the other side of the mountain. They're seeking local organic produce. So, but then with that came dictation of the price. You know, they want to tell you, this is for how much I will take this produce for. But obviously I understand that they also need to make profit, and then when they sell it. So that's where we currently are at the moment. So we are looking at cutting the middleman completely and doing this on our direct marketing. But then I think this is actually, you know, another way of thinking, because how do we get possible colors? How can I put this? You can use Facebook, but it's not for everyone. You can use WhatsApp, but you have to have that person as a contact to be able, you know, to keep on updating. This is what I have. This is what I have. So I'll leave it there for now.
Thank you so much, Nomonde. I was wondering, Nomonde, did you have any particular questions you wanted to ask Albin? There are a couple that I'll get to on the side, but what did you think of Albin's input? Did you have any questions that you might want to ask him? Okay.
Yeah, well, what actually came out from his presentation, I love it, and it seems user-friendly enough, but that was my question, what kind of, or what level of education, because most of our farmers, or our producers, it's elderly people, you know, they not that well educated. Will it be user-friendly? And also, maybe I don't know in Sweden, but in South Africa, we have challenges with data prices. You said I think it's running data free. So it would be nice to have something like that. Is it on the App Store? Because then how do we get it? Or is it on the App Store? Because for now, yeah, that's all I was wondering. Okay. Thanks, man.
Thank you. Did you get the questions, Albin?
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
The mobile app is both on App Store and on Google Play, so it's both for iOS and Android. And the first question was, sorry.
Level of education.
Exactly. There is always a hurdle when you need to create content yourself within a platform. And we're constantly working on the user experience to make it better as we go all the time. And at the moment, I'm creating tutorial videos. I've done it in Swedish first, but I'm also making them in English to help people on board if they want to use this tool. It's pretty intuitive, but as soon as you need to start creating products, you need to know what kind of product you want to create and how it should work and so on. So we're trying to make tutorial videos for people. So you always have this tech hurdle, and yeah, we try to make it as easy as possible. And I know that could be some kind of difficulties when it comes to technical stuff, but that's why I also mentioned that there is a possibility for someone to be a co-administrator to help you administrate your producer account and so on. But we try to better ourselves as we go all the time when it comes to the user experience and to ease it for people.
Shall I read? So I have, Gabriel asked a question about asking, are there any standards that you prescribe as producers, or is it up to the producer to determine what standards you work with?
We as digital developers cannot decide who can participate. It's impossible and it's not right in any way. To us, this is a local thing. We created for a global scale, but you as a local community need to set up your own guidelines in your node. In what way you would like to sell, who is about to participate and so on. But in my world, I think we should be open to anyone. I think we need to produce food and we need to let people sell their foods. So to exclude people, I don't really believe in that track, but at the same time, it's you that create nodes together jointly in your community. You need to set the standards that works for you locally. So I don't interfere, we will never interfere with that. But in Sweden, there's mainly this really small scale producer that don't have that big sales, that I only want to sell straight to their neighbors or village citizens. So it's not the huge ones. It's the small local farmers that using this kind of selling methods.
Thank you. Okay, so Erna has asked, does the website and application set to translate into different languages? Is it set to translate? Yeah.
At the moment, the website is released in, I think, 8 languages, and we have a translation tool that we can invite anyone to be a translator. So anyone can translate the website. Just give me the email address and say in what language you would like to translate in, and I can make a translator out of you. And we release the new languages as when they're ready. And that goes for the mobile application as well.
And then I have another question from, I think it's from Stefan, concerning knowledge on how to manage programs. Perhaps EMG can also help with study groups.
That's good.
That could be an option, yeah. Yeah. I think, is there anyone else who wants to ask a question or see more of the app from Albin? Erna's raising her hand. Ernst?
The question I'd like to ask is, Albin, you say that the producers all have their local nodes. Has there any been, do producers set their own prices in the local nodes? And do you set any standards for prices? Do people ever end up competing or that kind of thing, or have you managed to keep it so that, anyway, I was just wondering about pricing and how the producers manage that. Thank you.
I think it differs a little bit. I haven't been on location at that many times to see what happens when they deliver the produce. I know there have been some nodes that said, we only want this many producers of this kind of produce. That could be fine, I don't know. But at the same time, in Sweden, it's illegal to together say we should set this price everyone. So you can't do that in Sweden. But at the same time, the people are monitoring, they know what the prices are, and it differs between where in the country you sell the product. This is one of the reasons that I am setting that you can set the price from each delivery location and each delivery occasion. But if you're going a bit further, maybe you should increase the price for that delivery location. So when it comes to pricing, yet again, that's something you need to find out and discuss yourself, what you need to get paid to earn your keep. But also don't put the prices too low so that you run someone else out of business. So it's hard for us to answer that question, but I think stay fair and be a good citizen towards everyone. So, and don't be afraid to get the money that you actually need to do your work, to provide people with food. That's one of the key issues here. You have to get the money you need. So don't be afraid to put the right prices. Could be easy for me to say that up here in Sweden, I don't know, but that's one of the things why we're doing this in Sweden, because producers need to get real paid. That's why they're sidestepping the normal food chains, because they want to get paid, not somebody paying them for oh, you only get this amount of money. So, no, I want this for my produce. That's the reason why we're sidestepping this. So don't be afraid to get paid, or take pay, I should say. Don't get paid, take pay.
Thanks, Albin. I think it might be illegal here. We've got a competition commission that might have an issue with price setting. Comrade Saviwe, I've noted you. Do you want to talk? Okay.
Yeah, Mandy, thank you very much for this. I'm sorry I was just a couple of minutes later. Yeah, I also to thank to Albin. This is a very inspiring case of how things can happen locally and then have a bigger relevance to the food system. No, I think this reminds me of a session of slow food I attended. It was called Click Agriculture, where they were looking at cases where even young people are coming with very fresh initiatives of how to market cultural produce in a way that you can make your order and what you will get on your plate today has been taken out of the ground that day. You know, I think that these are very inspiring cases. But I think we must also appreciate that these examples are happening in a very different context.
Yeah.
You know, in a very different context. And I think maybe, Albin, you can take us in terms of what are the legislative enablers, you know, what support from the policy, from government that makes these things possible. Because I'm saying this because when we hear these things here in South Africa, we like to get excited and lose sight of the legislative obstacles that farmers have to navigate. For example, Nomonde tells us here that she is farming in someone's backyard. So our problems are very basic. There's a basic problem of not being able to release unused public land for food production. You know, our problems are at that fundamental level. And I think what is also inspiring about this initiative you have done, Albin, is that here in this country, what this can help us with is that here in this country, you have young rural labor sitting in the ghettos of the city, idling, waiting for jobs. I do think that this provides some kind of a solution in terms of opening space for young people to have a role in the agricultural development and also in the food production initiatives of their own communities. You see, I'm raising this issue of a legislative issue deliberately because in this country, that is where we are stuck. We have governments that have been sitting and not being able to make policy that can enable people who are producing at a local level. We are having a problem whereby we're inheriting the effects of a neoliberal economic policies where our governments have entered into deals with institutions in the West, deals that are making, you know, our government that are compelling our government to keep their hands off agricultural production. So there's been weaker regulation and all those kinds of things. So there are people who have gotten land, but the issue has mainly been that of the market, because the market is still controlled by the old white boys club, you know, whereby the Grain South Africa, the cooperatives, and all of that. So there are a lot of injustices of unanswered questions within the food system in South Africa, whereby cooperatives that were formed by government, that were funded publicly.
Yeah.
When the ANC were negotiating the final stages of this, these cooperatives were privatized, into private companies of commercial farmers that are now dominating the policy space. That is why you still have difficulties of small-scale farmers being able to. So I just wanted to raise these things, that how useful, I would have a question for you, is what is helping you in terms of the laws, the legislation in Sweden? And secondly, how strong is the cooperatives, or how important is formation of cooperatives for purposes of marketing? And lastly, do you think that perhaps, given our circumstances, is it an advice you can give that we need to think totally different of what the market is? Maybe we need to form new markets whereby products do not go to the market to be bought, but they move from household to household. A new way of thinking about the market in that kind of a way. Because quite a lot of money goes into value adding, and we pay a lot for a product, whereas the bulk of the cost is a label or a bottle that you're not going to consume, that you're going to go and throw it away. So there's a lot of injustice in the pricing and all the regulations in the market. So I just wanted to share that off the top of my head. I'm excited by this, by your initiative. Thank you very much for sharing it.
Thank you. Thank you for that input. It was very, very interesting to listen to. Obviously, it's extremely hard for me to understand even the slightest the context, because I've never been to South Africa. So we the only thing we can do is listen in the needs and try to meet the demands. And we have only barely scraping the surface outside of Sweden. We're listening to the needs in Sweden, and this phenomena that we are talking about, that is a little bit of a food market going rogue beside everything else. Started off in Finland, and I know that the governments and are monitoring this and following what is happening, and also they have put kind of structures in place to help out this phenomena. But at the same time, we have rules and regulation that makes it, everything is not possible to do, but some things are, and people are doing the things that is possible. And here is, our system is tapping into this pretty good. But there are on the governmental kind of, are trying to help this out and trying to give advice and so on. And there is an organization that has achieved some kind of money to be a supporting branch to do this without interfering, as long as people stick to the laws and regulation when it comes to fruit productions and sales. And here is where the pre-order things comes into the picture. Because if we should do this without the pre-order in Sweden, it would not be possible to do. Because we couldn't just go to a place without any, just going rogue and just selling stuff. But since the affair is made prior to the delivery, it's okay. So we can take the order, and then we can meet up and deliver the goods. So there is a will in Sweden to make this work, and we have heaps of news articles in media, in paper media, and in radio, and even in national television lately, covering this story about these local food hubs or nodes that people go pick things up. So yeah, it works out pretty good in a Scandinavian context, in Finland, in Norway, and in Sweden. I've been having dialogue with other countries with various kinds of needs that we try to listen in, mainly in the Netherlands, in the US, also in Australia. But as we said, we cannot never fully understand what the needs are. So we try to create solutions that you could tap into. But at the same time, what we're trying to do is a tool where you can meet the consumer firsthand. And if there is obstacles even to do that, then it's even trickier to how to meet the market in a good ways. And I really would like to hear more about this, what your needs are, and if we can translate those needs into tech features that helps you guys in some kind of way, if you understand what I mean. Yeah. So it's a very hard question for me to answer. I only can listen and take the input from you guys.
Thanks, Albin. Okay, I'm seeing lots of hands. So before we go, I've noted, Chris had written something in the comments, so I'm going to read that out now. Then I've noted Matt and Ludwig. Then Stefan put a question in. And then I've seen Noel and Anik had their hands up too. So we've got 15 minutes left. I think, I don't know, Chris, if you want to. So Chris's question was, he said, this is fantastic, really amazing, Albin. And then he said, there's a farmer producer network in Limpopo called ShopSnap. Would you be willing to connect and share your experiences with them? Chris, I don't know if you want to maybe tell us a little bit more about that in this forum, or if you just want to connect with Albin. Chris? I can see you've unmuted yourself, but we can't hear you. There you go. There's something. No. Chris? Chris, we can't hear you. I think what we'll do is if you can just put your hand up or maybe type something, maybe type a message to us because we can't hear you, and then I'll read back. But just in the interest of time, here we go. Here's a message from Chris. Sorry, everyone. He says, mic problem. Sorry, everyone. No problem, Chris. Maybe just type us something and then we'll get back to it. Thanks. Next, I'd noted Matt's been waiting a while. So Matt, do you want to come in?
Thanks, Mandy. Yeah, I just want to say fantastic. I mean, we've all been looking for these types of innovations globally, and decentralization is absolutely necessary. Just from a geographical point of view, I mean, South Africa is 2.7 times bigger than Sweden. And I know you mentioned something about the Uber context, but I think in our situation here, this is where an ethical aggregator can really make a difference, especially to rural farmers, because a lot of our guys don't even have transport to get their produce to a node. So I'm just wondering how you guys would maybe look at that, unpack it, and perhaps working with localized networks of distribution. And I'm just trying to jog your brain a little bit there. Thank you.
Yeah, it's very, very good question, because the first thing you do is make the food available. And the next question is, how do you distribute the food? So the nodes are just the first step on the way. And we've been talking about this, and there have been many projects that have been connected to, contacting us and how can we make this also a distribution chain that is good for this. And we have been doing sketches and how we will implement, how you can take food, not only from lots of farmers at the same time to one delivery spot, then lots of people going there, but also how you can take food from farm to home, from node to home, from farm to restaurants, and so on. So you can make this even easier, because the logistics is such a huge thing within this, how you can tap into more functionality and not just everyone going at the same place at the same time. So yeah, we've been talking about this since the last 3 or 4 years, and we will eventually also make functionalities and features, make it easier for you as a producer to get your food on the market, but also get it delivered to the people that needs it in the way that they are needing it.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Albin. I mean, I think what's really amazing about this whole app is that it's you've designed it. It's an evolving process. Everyone who gets involved contributes. So for me, I think that's a very positive thing. So it's not all on Albin to figure this out. It's on all of us, I think. The next person I noted was Ludwig. Ludwig, do you want to come in?
Yes, hi, quickly. Hi, everyone. Matthew took the first one, distribution. So I'll go to my second one. Okay, great work, Albin. Lovely project. I'm in the IT space as well, so I know there's also another initiative similar to that. That's a South African one. Yeah. But that being said, okay, I just want to comment on the review. Do you guys have a review section or a rating system? I think that would be very useful, specifically because we don't have, you know, our organic certification. I'm also a small scale farmer and I do organic produce in my backyard as well. So I think it would be really important, you know, from the producer side, so when clients go in, they can see ratings or some form of a review system, so similarly to a peer-to-peer review system.
We have had this input before, and we've been talking about it. I'm not the one going to make the decisions on my own because we are implementing things based on needs. But personally, I do not believe in rating one another online. I think we should build first-hand relations when we meet, because this is building on your consuming meeting you firsthand in person. And when you're creating these relations, to me, that's more important than rating one another. So when you have the relationship, you have it. But I also understand that if there is a need for rating, it could be implemented. But so we've been talking about it. We won't implement it in the near future, but it might happen further down the road. So I hear you about this one. I do not believe it myself, but we'll see what happens.
Thanks, Albin. Before we go to the last two people, and we've got 10 minutes left, so we've got Noel and Anik, but before Noel and Anik, Stefan had posted a question saying, could Albin's system, sorry, getting tongue-tied, could Albin's system be a way of avoiding obstacles caused by local informal power structures? And I'm not sure who you were asking that to, Stefan, but I think it's a tool that has a lot of potential. Do you want to maybe talk a bit, or is it good?
Yeah, it could. It could be a thumb in the eye on some power structures, definitely, because you have the possibility to sell without asking anyone for permissions. But at the same time, it's hard for me to answer. We're just doing it because we believe in it. We believe in creating tools that puts you that needs to sell your products in the driver's seats. And then it's hard for us to talk about the local context globally. But yeah, it could be something that you can use to do whatever you want to. That's the reason why we're doing
it. Thanks, Albin. No?
Thanks, Mandy, and thanks, Albin. I really like the concept, and hats off to you guys. I think you're doing a great service to the community. I have a comment and a question. Firstly, my comment, I really appreciate that there's no function for rating producers. And then you've got to ask, why do we only want to rate the service providers and not the consumers? Because I think consumers are the ones who often deserve rating. But I think it's very good that it's not there, because that's kind of a lazy shortcut in relationship management. And I really appreciate the sort of one-to-one contact between producer and consumer that this system enables, because I think that has a whole lot of social value way beyond market access and food access. So I think that's brilliant. My question is, how are the sort of delivery or drop-off points organized?
They are
they?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
they are almost always on a parking lot in Sweden, actually. So people come by car, open their trunks, and they have packaged in small paper bags for each an individual consumer that they have ordered, and they have a spreadsheet. This one have ordered this one, and then you just hand out the goods, and it takes about 15 or 20 minutes each and every time. So it's kind of, yeah, it's on parking lots, often on public places, actually. Mainly in the cities, in the big cities. In the capital of Sweden, in Stockholm, we have many at the moment, and they're growing by the week. I think they could have 10 or 15 drop-off spots, and it's really well organized. And And in the capital of Sweden, actually, those nodes are using local food nodes as the sales tools. Those where I live don't do it. But you never become a hero in your own country, or what they say. So they don't use it nearby me, but they do it in other parts of Sweden. But they will eventually, because there is no future of ordering food through Facebook, I think, because it takes too much time to organize. You should harvest comments and you should write them down and so on. Here you got the full-scale administrational tools that you know exactly who has ordered when and what and when they should get paid and so on. So yeah. Thanks for the question. Relevant.
Okay. Thanks, Albin. And here it would probably be taxi ranks, hey guys. And Nick?
Hi everyone, my name's Nick. I just want to say I'm blown away by this idea. Well, it's not even an idea, it's working. It's amazing. I think it's got so much potential for us locally. I was in a car with Nomonde on the way here, and they're talking about locally in Mfuleni of setting up a market, and this would work perfectly as a node you could set up. I just want to confirm what you said, Albin. So could you then say my spinach at one node is a separate price from a spinach at a further node or in a more exclusive neighborhood or something like that?
Exactly.
I mean, that's amazing.
And you
so
can
locally, you can say it's 12 Rand and somewhere else you can say 18 Rand or whatever.
And you can set the stock, and then you can go in and tweak the stock whenever you want to, and you can have node stock and so on. So you decide how to sell and what to get paid and when to get paid. This is the core with the project. We want producers to be able to get paid for what they're doing. That's why we're doing it.
It seems so powerful that a producer can then say, I'm setting up a node with myself or a couple of other people, and I can do it on a weekly basis or a monthly basis. And my stuff's been pre-ordered, so there's very little waste. And I work with farmers where we've got PGS systems. I work with 2 PGS systems. One's the whole Western Cape, and then also one's locally in the Cape Flats. And this could be advertised, you know, between all these systems. A lot of us are on different groups and networks, and this would be very powerful to share. And you could then sell to different nodes or networks, you know, depending on who you linked in with. So in terms of the capitalist system, this is amazing because it just removes all of that and gives so much power to the producer. I think great work, amazing.
Thank you. There is one thing that I think is important to stress here, because setting up this project, meaning that producers want to be the seller themselves. So they also have the responsibility to sell their products. So you are also, since you are creating the first-hand relations, you have the responsibility also to be the seller of your product. So the platform don't sell anything, and nothing will be sold by itself. So you have to promote your product, promote your node to your local communities. And that's one of the things that I've noticed in the early stages, that people just put up the project on the website and then hope that it should be sold. But that's not the way it works, because you are the one selling your products, and then you also have to put in the work to sell the product, to market it. We have made it easier for you by creating those links that you can post on internet and so on, but it's you as a producer that has the responsibility to sell your product, and no one else within this idea.
Yes. True, that puts it around. And I can imagine maybe, I mean, I don't know how you guys have addressed where people are not online, like an elderly person or someone who's not tech literate. I suppose if someone could find out about a market, maybe you could make some arrangement with SMS or WhatsApp. Can it be shared on WhatsApp and SMS, maybe?
We've been talking about this because there are people that do not want to be online, that don't have the possibilities to be online. And I would very much like to create some feature that you can go offline and you can do it analog ways for elderly people, maybe sharing an order list or whatnot that you can hand out. Or it will be so cool to do this, that you don't have to be on an app or on the website. I don't know how it should work, but I think I have got it input from other people. So it would be cool to do. And if there is a will, there is a way, I used to say. So I think, look into it.
Sorry. I mean, maybe if people know that on a weekly basis, you're bringing stuff to market for people that have pre-ordered who are tech literate, you can say like, you know, I know regularly you're coming on a Saturday and, you know, I know you're going to bring some extra stuff like spinach or stuff and I'm going to meet you there every week or something like that. Maybe that's something that could be arranged. Yeah. But I just see the potential is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, right, there's like literally 1 minute left. We've got one question from Gabriel. I think it's a quick one. It says, is there any registration required to be a producer?
As everything online, you have to create an account, but that's it. So you need to use your an email address. But when you create an account as a consumer, and then you create, without needing to swap accounts, you can just create a producer profile and a node administrator profile. So you can just jump between those. So the only thing you need is to create an account, and that's for free. But if you want to, that's the only obstacle. And you cannot create an account through Facebook with your Facebook account, because we do not want to connect this with Facebook, because Facebook is spying on everyone and we don't want to be a part of that.
No, cool. I mean, I also think, and I think so we're so used to sort of how we get registered and how we get accredited. And for me, the beauty of this is that it's run by the farmers, but it's based on real relationships between the producer and the consumer, which takes power away from those who have it. And I think it's really helpful. So it's 4 o'clock. I think, thank you everybody for joining. There's a lot of conversation and I've been sitting here trying to figure out how we deal with the way forward. I know that Chris probably wants to contact Albin. Albin, can I give people your email or should they contact me and then we can?
Yeah, you can hand out my email. It's definitely.
Okay. Can you maybe type it in the box because I can't. Thank you, Albin. Thanks so much. So if everyone wants to contact Albin, that'd be great. I think we need to think this through a little. There you go. There's Albin's email if you want to contact him, and you can also check out the foodnodes app online. I think Google it. You should be able to see it. But I think there's lots of conversations and lots of things happening, and I think it would be great to get a better idea also of what's happening in South Africa if there are similar initiatives. But I think for now, it's been a great start to the conversation. Albin and Nomonde, thank you so much for taking the time to come and share your experiences and everything with us. And thank you everybody else so much for being here, for the great questions and the input and everything. Have a nice day and we'll be in touch. Thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Mandy. Bye. Thanks, Albin.